For anyone close to golf, it's pretty clear that the sport is fragmenting as the governing bodies and organisations around it continue to try and attract more participants. Equally, social entertainment and competitive socialising venues are also on a growth curve. And in many towns and cities across the world now, these two industries are naturally coming together to create some really unique experiences. The most interesting golf businesses right now are being built around shorter formats, better atmospheres, and genuine social experiences. Which brings me to today's guest. Jake Hoselton is one of the four founders and the CEO of Grass Clippings and Grass League, a golf course and competitive league that have become one of the most talked about things in golf right now, and for good reason. We're going to get into the business behind it, where it's going, and discuss the opportunity that golf businesses across the world have right now in embracing social entertainment. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Jake. Hi Jake, thanks for joining me.
Stevie, thanks for having me.
Now, before we get into the bigger picture and the nitty gritty of the business, I want to give you the floor because the origin story of Grass Clippings, I figure, has to be one of the best and most interesting in golf right now. I know you've probably told this story more than a few times, but if you don't mind, take us back to before the beginning. You, Jimmy, Connor, Pete out on the course spitballing, or did you have a really clear idea from the outset? And at what point did the brand emerge?
Yeah. So origin story was certainly one that started in one place and has led us to something we had absolutely no idea it would, honestly. To go like fully back, I think it's important to mention that me, Jimmy, Connor, Pete, who are the four co-founders of Grass Clippings and Grass League, love the game of golf, grew up playing competitive golf. Some of us went pro for a little, some of us didn't, but always sort of found a refuge in playing the game and found a social connection that was just a fabric of our community that we were a part of, right? We're in Phoenix, Arizona is where we're based out of, one of the largest golf markets in all of the sport. And so it's kind of part of, you can't help but be a part of the golf community if you're from this area. So we love the game. We loved competing, right? There's sort of one way to do it where obviously we like this side too, but having fun, drinking beers, hanging out, having a good Saturday or whatever day you're out there. But we also loved like seeking out competitive, for in my case, amateur events where it was a 2-person event or a 4-person event. And so playing USGA or Arizona Golf Association type stuff, or just random legendary old tournaments. And so the four of us would really go seek out tournaments like that together and found ourselves having the most fun, but also still being able to scratch the competitive itch when we were playing par 3. It was kind of just always this course that we kept going back to in Paradise Valley called Mountain Shadows. And that was really the thing that sort of struck the chord for us to think that we should do something formally in the golf space. And so sort of two things happened. One was we wanted our own brand to just wear, and I mean wear, like we started as an apparel company. And one of the things that we wanted to sort of evoke in the brand that we were wearing was an appreciation for the game and sort of getting back to the roots. And so that's really how the name Grass Clippings came about. It was always like, if there's one person, which this isn't totally the case, but if there's one person on property that knows more about the course, that probably spends more time at the course, and that puts in the work day in and day out, that really gets overlooked, it's the greenskeeper. And just that culture of having like the clubhouse and the bar and the pro shop and the tucked in area. And then you have typically on the far side of the golf course, the maintenance area. Like that's kind of where we as people, that's like our culture. That's where we want to go after our round. It's like, let's play around the golf. Let's go crack an old beer and sit in the maintenance yard and talk about our round, not sit in the nice clubhouse.
Nice.
So that was the spirit of the brand Grass Clippings, and that sort of like converged with our desire to play competitive golf but still have fun. And we, as the launch of that brand, thought up a tournament that we had never really heard of before, which is bringing competition onto a par 3 course. Typically par 3s are kind of like, it's like the thing you do after, right? You go play at some random golf course or golf experience that has like a little 9-hole pitch and putt after. It's like the thing you do after, and it's kind of an afterthought. But it turns out that that's kind of where the memories are made. It's like, you played your round, then you take off your shoes, grab a beer. God, I've said beer like 50 times so far. You get out there, and that's where the memories are made. That's where the hole in one, that's where the action starts. That's where the betting begins. And those are sort of what you carry on. So we started with the launch of the Grass Clippings brand, a 2-person scramble on a par 3 course. And we were like, never heard of that format. And in that format, it can still be competitive. We don't have to do handicaps. So it could be a gross event, and anyone can play. Men, women, pros, amateurs, old, young. Everyone's sort of relevant in that format. And so that's really what it was. And we hosted this event, and that's who showed up. It was all of really in the first event, all of our friends and friends of our friends. But there was this unbelievable convergence of like this broad demo of person that felt like they could compete in this format. And then after that, we realized that the USGA didn't rate or slope par 3 courses. And by the standards and rules of golf, we actually didn't even host a golf tournament, right? Because you have to post your score when you play golf, but you can't post your score at that time on a par 3 course. So we're like, per the golf gods, we didn't even play today, right? That wasn't a golf tournament. What was it? Like, let's go that way because no one's thinking about it. So that sort of led us to down the real estate side as well as the grass league side.
Awesome. Well, that kind of segues into it quite nicely. I want to talk about Rolling Hills because I think before we can talk about Grass League and everything that's been built around it since, the audience of this podcast probably needs to properly understand what the asset here actually is. We're in the business of venues and creating, experiences at venues. When people hear floodlit par 3 golf league, they probably picture something purpose-built, something that was designed from scratch as an entertainment venue, but that's not what Rolling Hills is. Can you walk us through exactly what the facility is and how you operate?
Yeah, so as soon as we hosted the second event at Mountain Shadows, which was not our par 3 course, we tricked out the event. So like we had music, we had satellite bars everywhere, we invited fans, we had an after party, like we made it this experience. And the result of that was that not only were golfers showing up to compete in the event, but fans wanted to come hang out in this type of environment and really have like, this experience just being on a golf course. And so we sort of outgrew that venue. They said the music was too loud and there were too many people and all of these sort of rules started to emerge. And we said, we need our own facility, not just for the events, but this type of experience in golf is missing. There's a lot of like alternative golf entertainment, golftainment venues, right? Where you have simulators, simulator clubs, right? You have putt-putt, pop stroke, Greenspan, all of the products that are happening there where it's the whole venue is an alt golf format. And we just saw an opportunity to still have green grass golf, but incorporate the facility from a full golf course perspective. And so we knew we wanted to light the golf course. We knew we needed a golf course that didn't have homes around it in order to do so. So we kind of scanned the entire market. We looked at blank land that was on the outskirts of town. We looked at sort of infill opportunities and then really set our eyes on existing golf courses that sort of checked the boxes that we had. And we landed on Rolling Hills, which has been around since the 60s. It's a municipal golf course in North Tempe, incredible location. So it's like our north border is Phoenix, our east border is Scottsdale. We sit in Tempe. It's right in the heart of this huge golf metroplex with 250 golf courses within 50 miles of us. And it checked all of the boxes. It was public information that the golf course was sort of under distress, like it was losing money, A golf course is sort of like a park, if you will, where a given municipality will subsidize that because it's golf, it's a community asset. And so we took that to the city and we're like, hey, we can maintain all of the qualities that you're currently delivering by subsidizing it, but we can also make it profitable for you guys. And we can invest in this property on a long-term lease, right? Where we come in and we invest and we sort of own the bottom line with a rent payment and really establish still a public community asset, but put a flag in the ground for a truly unique concept. So that's what it is. It's a municipal golf course. We have a long-term lease. We became the first lighted 18-hole golf course, first lighted just golf course, not 18 holes in Phoenix. So one of 250. Knew that we wanted to attract the golfer as much as we wanted to attract the non-golfer. You know, going to a golf course just to hang out, to eat, whatever you're doing for an event. It's a great place to be. It's an open space. You're in the middle of a big city. Who wouldn't want to go hang out on a golf course? So we have a term called anywhere there's grass. You can kind of do anything. So have a big open grass event lawn, built out a standalone restaurant that's not a golf course restaurant, but it's called Glen Rosa. We have an incredible renowned chef that is based out of our restaurant, and there's just a whole F&B experience where there's people walking in there on Friday night dressed up to go hit the town, but they're starting their evening by having dinner at a golf course. And obviously it's not traditional club sandwiches and hot dogs and stuff like that. There's a real F&B identity, and then took the approach on the driving range, which has become quite popular. So technology enabled driving range, hitting bays, F&B service, TVs, music, full entertainment. So driving range, lighted 18-hole par 3 golf course, great like event F&B lawn venue that all sort of play off of each other.
Nice. That's a great summary. And I think one thing I wanted to just focus in on because there's a lot there to unpack, and I'm definitely going to, but you've got 2 different layouts for day and night. Was that just a decision that you made that was like making use of what you had? Or did your research suggest that maybe sticking purely with par 3 wasn't going to be as attractive, or maybe you could capture more people by having a few kind of par 4 holes thrown in there during the day? Like, I know that as a golfer, one of the great opportunities in a round is having a shot at hitting a short par 4 in one, you know, like it's quite an enjoyable thing. Was that a conscious decision?
You know, I wish I could say it was, and that I was a genius that we have this sort of two type layout. It wasn't. So our original proposal into the city was to basically, the golf course sits on like 93 acres. There are par 4s and par 3s. It's like an executive golf course, and it always has been. Our proposal was to blow the entire course up and build a state-of-the-art 18-hole par 3 course. It was actually a 21-hole par 3 course because we were like, why not? Right. And the local legends of the course push back on that. And ultimately, it's now makes us look like a genius, right? Where during the day, you can play some par 4s, you can play some par 3s. It also saved us probably more money than we realize, blowing up a course and rebuilding it. And it ultimately worked out perfect. And it is that great opportunity. Everyone loves coming up to a short par 4. That's what these par 4s are. And then at night, it's all par 3s. So like if there's a 350-yard par 4, we have tee boxes sort of at the 170 marker or what it is.
And so from a pure operational standpoint, is there much that changes between daytime operation and night golf that you've had to factor in? Because I think considering there's only 22 lighted golf courses in the US, like, you know, there's probably going to be a lot of operators out there that have absolutely no idea what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, not really. No, there's not some, different way that once the sun goes down, we change our operations. I think that what we have done is, well, first of all, we partnered with Troon for our operational excellence, if you will. So we sort of are the brand creative. We're the leaseholder. Like it's our property. We raise the money. We are the developers of it. So we did all of the entitlements. Like we are a development company that is development, asset management, concepts, the vibe police, but we also hooked into Troon's platform, which obviously has like turnkey operational capacity and has done this 950 times a year with their 950 properties across the world. But I think the interesting part is that even now we're one of the most unique golf courses in the entire world, because for the first time, unless someone checks us that's listening to this podcast, it was really the first time that anyone has put in over $15 million into a standalone par 3 golf course to make it a golftainment asset, right?
Yeah.
Where we're not just like, we don't just have this par 3 course next to a bigger one and we made it fun. It's like, this is actually like an investable asset that we are replicating. And so there's a lot of like IP that sort of lives under the hood of how you return capital on par with other real estate investment opportunities. Because our investors, they're like, I'm either going to invest in an industrial building or I'm going to invest in this crazy par 3 course. I'm going to take a flyer on you guys. And now that we've sort of worked through that process from a capital perspective, I think we have an opportunity to go out and replicate that. So I feel like we've sort of carved out a niche product that is centered around this golftainment component. I don't know if that answered the question, but
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think for someone like yourselves who then are looking at maybe another existing golf asset that's out there right now, how do you break down where the capital for this one actually went, and what did you decide was kind of non-negotiable in terms of an investment versus what was a nice to have?
At least for this first property, and a non-negotiable for us was the night golf. Night golf expands our tee sheet inventory by about 50%. Also, the only night golf opportunity, and I think even if in this market, if there were 2 or 3 or 4, there would still be such a large demand for it that it's actually like the premium asset that we have, right? Our greens fees basically double at sunset, and we're doubling on inventory that the course didn't have before. So that was a non-negotiable to the bottom line and making this thing pencil. And I would say that was like basically the only non-negotiable. The other difficult piece to work through is just like raw land or existing facility. And so really and every golf course is going to be different. The day you step on, you don't know if you need new irrigation or a new pump station, or if the lake's failing, or is the clubhouse a knockdown or a little TLC, is the parking lot, like things like parking lots. Parking lots are expensive. We learned that the hard way, right? Just the curbing and the expansion and the drainage and all of these things. So looking at sort of what's there is important. You walk into even a distressed golf asset that you're walking into, like you're walking into some value that is there, that's not there on raw land, like parking lots and pump stations. So you got to kind of walk into it and say, okay, what assets are here? And then what are the non-negotiables to get this place up to speed to be the product that we want our brand to be associated with. And yeah, like every deal is unique. So it's hard to say, like, I mean, we have like an investment box, but it's hard to say exactly what's in that box just because you just don't know, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Before we jump ahead, I wanted to stay on the format question for just a little while longer, because I think it's one of the most important kind of conversations happening in golf right now. And it's one that sits right at the heart of what we do at Greenspan with mini golf and what a lot of our listeners are building and investing in. The format of golf has historically been the game's kind of biggest barrier, with the time you have to spend out on the course, the expensive equipment, the dress codes, intimidating environments. The list kind of goes on as to why people don't get into it. But what we're seeing across the board, from putting courses and golf entertainment venues that we're building to facilities like Dobson Ranch, who I've spoken to on this pod before and obviously got me in touch with you guys, to what you're doing at Grass Clippings, is that when you remove those barriers, entirely new audiences show up. And if you've got the product right and the folks are having a better time than they could elsewhere, then they keep showing up again and again. So with this kind of short and alternative format golf, what do you think has changed culturally that means those same formats are now genuinely desirable in their own right, rather than just being a stepping stone or an also activity? I mean, my mind immediately takes me to things like Good and Bob Does Sports, where the game has become a staging environment for social interaction and enjoying time together, and is less about high performance and elite competition. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was the cool thing to say, and like the punchy line to say that golf should be more fun and more inclusive, and as like a base starting point for whatever you're going to say next. I think that was like 10 years ago or 8 years ago, or maybe COVID, right? So put us at 5 years ago or whatever it was. I think it is now. Like, it's like I'm done saying that. Golf is fun. It is culturally relevant. Every single cool athlete that is done with their career is they go play golf, right? Or existing career, right? They don't want to get hurt, they go play golf. So I think golf is an international, ageless, timeless sport that people just now for sure with a stamp realize is just freaking awesome, right? And so from, I guess, to answer your question, we just kind of have an approach that we don't really say no to anything. Like, you can kind of roll your own dice. We have like baseline standards that we have, but as long as you're like keeping pace, right, is like a baseline standard, you can literally do anything out there on our golf course. You can play a 12-some if you want. But before you go off as a 12-some, we say, hey, if we ask you to skip a hole, you can't be mad, right? But go ahead, play a 12-some. So I think it's like kind of having that approach versus just this rigid, these are our rules. And that's worked out well for us. Obviously, it creates challenges, it creates situations, or how do we approach this or that? But that's the same approach that we have for the events that we say yes to at our property, right? We've had all kinds of crazy events, from a half pipe on our lawn, and Team USA skateboarding was out there, to looking at a wall of artists with Big X the Plug and Midland and Quinn 92, and like we've had major recording artists with 10,000 people on property. So it's the same sort of approach from the events side. And I think that having that be the approach internally is felt even just on a regular day where there's nothing happening. It's regular operations for us. But yeah, and I always go back to food. Like, I just have a huge respect for any place that serves good food and like cares about it. It's hard to care about it because it's just a really just ruthless, ongoing, never-ending, never-landing project. That as a sort of lead to this investment in our team, and like, it's like I've been told so many times to like, hey, let's scale back the food a little. Let's get some frozen products in here. It'll save costs, all those things. And it's like, no, you gotta invest. You gotta put some heart and soul into this thing, and it'll pay dividends down the road. So I think it's just it's having that open approach. Like, anything's possible out here. Let's see what comes.
Yeah, and that's like the time of filming now. You're about to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the restaurant opening at Rolling Hills. Was Glen Rosa always a part of the plan? Or was that something that came later? Because, you see some venues, I think with the original events you did, you opted for kind of food trucks because it wasn't your premises. But like, was it always part of that plan, or did you see an opportunity and take it post-opening because there was a specific requirement for it?
Yeah, and it was always a part of the plan, not the name. The name came like a week before we were literally forced to make the call on what we're going to call this place. But it was always great golf culture, lighted golf, incredible F&B standalone restaurant that people go to, they find on Yelp or they find on Google, and they get there and they're like, oh, this is at a golf course. It was always a driving range tricked out with all the technology and all of the entertainment components. And, with those sort of like three like main assets, everything sort of drives off of Glen Rosa, right? The food and drinks are experienced out on the golf course. They're experienced out on the driving range. They're experienced through the events. So yeah, it was a core piece to the puzzle.
Excellent. Moving on slightly, you've got this incredibly well-designed asset. You've got executive golf course by day, a floodlit par 3 course by night, a format that's genuinely accessible and competitive, and you got a slick F&B, and then you built a competitive league. around it. I know one maybe they came kind of around at the same time, but talk me through how kind of Grass League came out of Grass Clippings or vice versa, and what did that process look like from running a single facility to also at the same time running like a multi-franchise competitive league?
Yeah, I can tell you that the intention was not to launch the league and the course in the same like 4 months. It just sort of happened that way. The league goes back to that first event that we held where we were like competitive, par 3, anyone is relevant and dangerous in the format. And we also didn't play golf by the standards of our golf gods of the USGA or whoever's watching, right? And so, we weren't sure at the time of we know we want to expand on this competitive par 3 format when the golf course would come, but we knew we needed and wanted a facility at some point to support and sort of be the home of the Grass League. But it wasn't critical to the league launching. And so by happenstance, both of those two things basically were capitalized and launched in the same, like, I might be padding with 4 months. It was like the same month when we were like, holy moly, we're in business. But that's how it's done. Just jump in, right?
Yeah.
So they are two separate businesses. They're separately capitalized. The league is venture backed. Completely different model. It's basically a media company converged with like the structure of a major 5 sports league. And, having said that, they obviously play very nicely off of each other. The Grass Clippings Rolling Hills venue serves as the home and the foundation of the Grass League. And as we continue to expand competitive format and tournaments in the US and beyond, we'll sort of always come back to, at least at this point, start and finish at Grass Clippings Rolling Hills, which is sort of dubbed the home of par 3 golf right now.
Nice. And the franchise model that you built out for that is genuinely novel. I can't really talk about Grass League now without also talking about what TGL has done with owned franchises and even what Live Golf tried to do with kind of branded team structure. For me, the standout element from the other two with what you're doing is how it's seemingly open to anyone and not gate kept by professional golf.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we look at PGA, Live, TGL, and I understand why, but they're basically like shrinking the footprint of players, from it's sort of shrinking, right? They really monetize off of their top 25 or 50 golfers, right? And that's probably being generous. It's probably more like their top 5 golfers, right? They're making all of their revenue off of, and driving all of their fandom off of. We have definitely more of like a ground up grassroots appeal because golf is just I should know this, Stevie, but it's probably one of the largest participation rates from a fan perspective watching competitive golf, right? Like the millions of people watching the Masters, probably over 90% of them play golf on a given year. I love watching the NFL. I haven't played flag football in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of power there, especially in our format, because it lends us be interesting again to a lot of golfers that aren't in that top 120 FedEx Cup player, top 50 that get asked to be a part of the TGL, and those that got called to the throne to go play on the Live Tour. There's this whole world of golfers out there that on a par 3 course could actually beat those top 120 players, right? I truly believe that you put a 2-person team in a Grass League event, that a 2-person team's coming from their FedEx Cup team, that they wouldn't win the event. They might have the best odds, they might play really well, but I would take the other side of them just coming in and cleaning up the field. Yeah. Because our field, I don't have the exact numbers, but there's multiple Masters appearances, multiple US Open, all of the majors. There's Korn Ferry wins, there's LPGA gals playing, there's literally everything competing. And it's such a like fast, quick format where like if you par like 5 holes in a row, you're out of the tournament.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing in this format, and so it's an incredible format that really anyone can win when the lights come on.
Yeah. And you kind of, I like the way that you can kind of moneyball it in a way. You can just find someone who's particularly good at one thing, like, and just that can, I'd probably back myself against some much better players than me from like 120 yards in, like
Yeah.
it's a much more accessible, thing. If you just focus just on that, it's definitely possible. So you've got, like you said, you got pro golfers, you got Major League Baseball managers and guys like Good as franchise owners. How much of the commercial value of this league lives in the golf itself, and how much lives in the cultural credibility and reach that those names are going to bring with them?
We wanted the Grass League to feel real and authentic and not sort of this, let's go get the richest people in the world to buy a franchise. And we wanted people who like genuinely care and are not that they don't, I don't know, but genuinely are like bought into this thing, right? That want to be a part of it. And we don't believe that we don't really even believe that having celebrity backed teams and billionaire owners is critical to the success and the media value and commercial value of the franchises in league. You go look at what alternative media and golf have done, and that's to what the consumer is watching, right? They don't watch Bob Does Sports because he's got $1 billion. They watch him because he's hilarious, right? Same thing with Good, right? Same thing with all of these sort of golf media alternative entities. And so that's really the approach we took. We were like, let's go find the biggest legends that obviously are well capitalized. Like the last team sold for $1 million. There's operating costs, but we don't need to start out in that sort of, abyss. We don't want to just be another asset on someone's books. Like, we want people to be bought into this thing. So I think the commercial value is driven off of that it is authentic, right? There's a lot of brands out there. And in these early phases, like a lot of our revenue is coming off of brand partnerships and sort of, building our team of brands that are in golf, from technology to hospitality to all of these different brands that sort of come behind the Grass League. And that's what they want too. They want real content and media exposure to be authentically placed into something like the Grass League versus it just being another big thing that is sort of fabricated. I think it's pretty evident that money can't buy the game of golf at this point, right? We've seen that. And so it's got to come from within, and that's the only way we know how to do things.
It's absolutely right. I mean, I think, how do you, just to touch on that point, how do you think about Grass League as a recurring commercial engine, building kind of franchise fandom, creating that kind of tribal loyalty around teams, and getting people to plan their calendar around your events? Because that's a very different commercial relationship than anything traditional golf has really tried to build, except maybe the Masters, which for anyone lucky enough to have been, feels for many like a kind of yearly pilgrimage and tradition where
Yeah.
the experience has been completely preserved, even over profits, for like the 90 years it's been running. And I really appreciate that. Yeah. What's your kind of feeling on that? Is that the kind of thing that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean it's a challenging business because we put a lot of the onus on the franchise owners. So basically the way the league is structured is there's the Grass League entity that owns the front office and the constitution and the marks of the league and all of the media channels it's producing. The Grass League is doing media deals like we have with the Golf Channel. It's doing sponsorship that is driving revenue at the league level. The franchises, bought they bought and branded their own franchises that are basically membership agreements that are playing off of that league constitution. And so these franchises basically started a new company, right? They obviously, their core business is being a franchise and competing in the Grass League, but they can take the Tampa Bay Swamp Dogs, the Dallas Horsemen, the Los Angeles Roses, they can take that as a brand and really monetize it however they want, right? So they can build social channels around it. They can sell merchandise. They can build their own golf courses. They can really do anything with that asset, and the league supports them on doing that, right? So we have a sort of best practices. And we have a ton of relationships at the league that are supporting these franchises to go do that. But the onus is largely on them. So it's an intricate process and a lot of learning that's been done on how do you do it, right? What's the best way? Where's the most value?
Yeah, and I feel like it's a great model because each of those clubs that each of the franchises can decide, right, well, in our particular region, we can run competitions locally to activate the local population and try and basically make our team as good as possible. Like host your open competitions, your
Absolutely.
regionals to play your way onto the team. I think that's a really, and one person can have a really good year and end up traveling the country to play golf, which I think is as an average golfer, but on the slightly better side. But I could never make it pro. I'm like, oh, that's all I want is one opportunity to have a good year and qualify for something. That would be
Yeah.
great. So obviously, we're just touching finally on the Masters. It's just at the time of filming, it's just passed us by. And one thing I noticed about the par 3 competition is that it's garnered significantly more cultural relevance this year. For the first time, it felt more commercialized.
Yep.
With guys like Kevin Hart and Jason Kelsey being involved, and Frankie Fleetwood was probably the most anticipated performance of the week. Do you think that this signals in some way a return to the spotlight for kind of short format golf?
I think so for sure. I mean, even in full length golf, right? The meat and potatoes of the game happen from 150 yards and in. You're on a traditional golf broadcast, 80+% of the coverage is from par 3 distance and in. All of golf's greatest moments happen from that distance and in. Those are the things you remember. And then even in the live environment, people gravitate to go to whatever par 3 there is because there's a chance for a hole in one and you can see the full thing. You can see the full tee to green. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the Masters sort of, I agree, they've kind of commercialized the par 3 event, had incredible spike in viewership from year over year. And so I think it's just evident that like it's awesome. It's a great way to showcase the game. It's a great way to showcase personalities, and it doesn't surprise me at all. I would like to think that maybe they took some inspo from us, but probably not.
Fair enough. Well, I know that Phoenix is a golfing town anyway, so maybe the data on this is slightly skewed. But who is showing up to Grass League events? What do your eyes tell you about who the customer actually is at Rolling Hills?
Yeah, I mean, at the golf course facility, we have literally everything, right? And it's kind of like based on the day. So, you get out here on an everyday basis on a Sunday, there's kids running around on the lawn. There's parents hanging out. There's people throwing the football, stuff like that. But you come here on a Friday night and there's high heels clanking around and it's like a bar restaurant, like you're out on the town, right? For the Grass League, it's definitely centered more and skews a little bit younger. I think that since it is still golf and we honor competition so much, and we have a partnership with the Golf Channel, like we definitely have a viewer that the the higher in age demo likes us because we do honor that versus creator golf being very driven around personality and not competition. I think sometimes you lose the older demo, but from a core viewer, right? We're filming it different. We're, interviewing different. Our personalities are different. It's a 18 to 34-year-old. And definitely in the live experience at a Grass League event, we got DJs and rappers and we've mixed in some country in there, but it's a party. So like you see primary is 21 to 34 years old, people having fun, hanging out. But there's definitely one of everything. And it's a night event. Like the event, they go till 1 a.m, draw a certain crowd.
Yeah. So as you've just touched on, like on a Friday night, a Grass League event is arguably competing for the same occasion as, say, a great restaurant, a concert, or just a night out on the town. Do you consciously think of yourselves as being in the broader experience economy, or is golf just always going to be the core product and focus?
Definitely the former. We're in the experience economy, potentially more than golf for some of our live experiential fans. we have full-blown concerts, and we actually have like two different event posters. One is like, hey, this is just a concert and food experience and cool stuff happening. We have three. There's one that's like all festival looking driven stuff, and we have one that's a lot of like mainly golf. Grass League's back, number one players competing, like all of that stuff. And then we have the full package, and those are converting different consumers throughout, right? So we have people that are coming to Grass League events because their favorite artist is performing that night, or it's the cool thing to do in town wherever we are, that had no idea it was a golf tournament. And then we have people that are coming to watch competitive golf because Jenny Song or some LPGA folks are playing, or a former PGA Tour playing, or the good guys are playing, or Ryan Ruffles or Dave Roberts is going to be there. We have fans that are genuinely there for the golf that are like, oh my gosh, there's a SL 260 like Coachella looking stage. I'm going to stick around and watch this concert and see what happens. So yeah, we're just kind of capturing anyone who's looking for a good time that wants to go out. And again, like I feel like golf is a welcoming sport at this point. There's still there's still a ton of like men's only clubs and exclusivity, and that is a big part of the game. But I think it's just come a long way where anyone feels comfortable going to a golf course. I'll probably get a bunch of pushback for that. That's probably not totally the case, but
That's fine. And so, like in our world of premium putting and golf entertainment, like we see a lot of operators who build a beautiful facility, but then run it like a traditional golf club. They've got conservative programming. They've got a non-existent marketing budget. They have got pretty limited F&B ambition. Like, why do you think that instinct is so hard to shake for golf operators?
I think because it's hard, right? Like it takes a lot of effort and energy and emotion that you need to put into the project. And the truth is like, if you have a decent golf course that's priced in the market, like you can not worry about any of that stuff and probably make money and get by. And I think that's who owns golf courses, is like, someone just buys the golf course and is like, oh yeah, and I own this golf course. Like, I also am a 100 million plus person that, I don't want to worry about it. Right. So they just kind of like let it be. They hire a traditional management company. They don't push them to do anything innovative. So I just think the difference is we two things. One, are young, like, I would love if there's comments on this podcast. What other low 30-year-olds have got, and I'm not tooting our own horn, but what other young 30-year-olds have gotten the keys to a golf course before that want to have fun with it? And then from an investment standpoint, there's not many golf courses out there that are like driven to return capital to investors. And so we have that motivation because we have to, right? We need to get our investors their money back in the competitive time set. So I think those two things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. So I suppose I want to kind of wrap it up because I appreciate I've had you for quite a while now. Where does Grass League sit in 5 years, and more broadly, where does the whole sector, let's call it golf attainment, sit relative to the traditional game in your mind?
Grass League, we're attacking par 3 golf as a standalone sport from every angle, and we're going to continue to grow down. What I mean by that is, like, right now the Grass League is the pinnacle circuit of par 3 golf. It's the best players competing that aren't PGA Tour card holders are competing on the Grass League. We're going to grow down and create competitions throughout the golfing world that sort of lead up to that Grass League pimple, if you will, the top of the chain, and just really define par 3 golf as a standalone sport. So on the golftainment side, every single day I feel like I see another, alternative golf project popping up. I don't think we're the only ones thinking about lighted par 3 golf courses. I think that anyone who's sitting on par 3 golf or executive golf course asset is like, oh, look what they did at Grass Clippings or any other, I think we've done a good job. I think we've set a bar in some ways, but people are like, I should invest into this asset and it'll pay dividends. So I think that we're going to see a continuation of investment into short course and golftainment for sure. So yeah, I'm really bullish on putt putt too. I think that's a missing feature at our property that we've got land for. We want to do it. It's really good business too, because there's not really too much maintenance, and it's kind of all, you get your money back in like 6 months, and then it's kind of open green water, green grass from there.
Yeah.
And it's fun, right? Like it's the perfect thing to do. Like, oh, there's an hour wait on the range, or our tee time's in an hour, or we just finished golf, but we finished tied and we need to settle it's the perfect, it's a great thing to do.
Yeah, you mean you've already broadened your demographic and accessibility massively by dropping the par 3 golf, but I mean there's still a huge amount of family business and younger generations to capture with mini golf as well. Getting a club in kids' hands for the first time is something that golf clubs have been trying to do for years and years and years, and I think that mini golf has been, again, kind of cast aside and treated like not a gateway to golf.
For sure.
And so I think, I'm glad to hear that you think mini golf has a place at Grass Clippings, because a lot of the conversations that we're having right now with golf clubs all over the world is, how can I integrate mini golf into my current business, get clubs in more people's hands, but not alienate the business that I already do as a golf club. And I think that's been the challenge that we've been helping them overcome. But I mean, it is artificial grass. I think, you maybe have to make a little bit of an allowance for some fake grass if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I think I've got AstroTurf in my backyard. It's one of the skeletons in my closet, given the things I preach to the world. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I want to make a connection that feels important for our audience. And back in episode 3 of this podcast, I sat down with Matt Stark, the VP of Partnerships at Paradigm, who manages Dobson Ranch, which is maybe only 15-20 minutes from where you are. And they manage a handful of other golf facilities across Las Vegas and Florida and Arizona as well. And he was talking about how they transformed Dobson into a kind of genuine community hub. The music, the no dress code, the tech-driven range. There's a mini putting course, of course, and great food and beverage. And his kind of central argument was that the golf course isn't the product anymore. The experience is the product. And at the end of that conversation, Matt pointed me in your direction and said, you need to talk to these guys. And he was right. How did you meet Matt, and what can you say about what he's doing down the road at Dobson?
Yeah, I think that that Dobson's an incredible spot. It's again, it's such a huge golf market. There's so many golfers in this valley that we don't see each other from a relationship standpoint at all as competition. We actually are like, those are brothers down there, right? They think like us, and they've done an incredible job. And it's like, when you're thinking of, let's go have a little bit more fun, kick back on a golf course today or this afternoon or tonight, I would say Grass Clippings, Rolling Hills, and Dobson Ranch are the two that are coming to people's minds. And so huge respect to them, and huge respect to what they've done down there. And we play off of each other. Awesome. And love those guys, love the facility.
Yeah, and I think what struck me throughout this conversation and with Matt's is that they're proving the same thesis that you are from the existing golf operator side. They've taken an existing golf asset and reimagined what it's capable of. You've proved it from the kind of entrepreneurial side as well, identifying an undervalued format, designing an asset specifically around it, and then building a league and a brand on top of that, which is now on national television. Like, what we do here at Greenspan is, in premium putting and golf entertainment, sits in exactly the same space. I think we're all reading the same signal, which is, golf is fully part of the experience economy now. We aren't creating alternatives to golf. They are golf, but it's just built for the way that people want to spend their time in 2026. For GMs and operators and investors listening, I think that's the opportunity. The window to get ahead of it is still open, but I think it's getting busier all the time. But if you haven't listened to episode 3 with Matt Stark, go back and do that, because together these two conversations make a pretty complete argument for where the real opportunity in this industry lives right now. But that's it from me on this episode of Made to Imagine. I want to say thank you to Jake for spending the time with me. Thanks, Jake.
Stevie, I appreciate it, man.
And good luck with the upcoming Grass League season. Where should people go if they want to find out more about Grass Clippings and Grass League?
Yeah, go to grassclippings.com. We'll route you to both Grass League and Grass Clippings Rolling Hills and future facilities that we're going after. That's sort of the hub for it all. Our Grass League events are live on the Golf Channel, so if you have access to the Golf Channel, otherwise can find us on all the socials as well to follow along on the action.
Nice. And if you want to find out more about what we do at Greenspan, which is of course designing and building leisure attractions and social entertainment spaces all over the world, head over to greenspanlimited.com, find us on LinkedIn, or come and say hello on Instagram at greenspan_projects. If you like this conversation and want to hear more like it, please do give us a like and a follow. And if you're watching the video podcast on our YouTube, remember to subscribe also. I will see you next time.